Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander viewers are advised that the following program may contain images and voices of people who have died.
This is the Aboriginal land of Kakadu in Australia's Northern Territory. At 20,000 square kilometres, it's Australia's largest terrestrial national park, one of our greatest natural treasures. Rangers and traditional owners work to try and hold on to its magic. It's a land of wild extremes. Scorching hot one season and torrential rain the next. Floods, fire, feral animals and deadly saltwater crocodiles are just a few of the challenges they face.
You're loaded, are you? Any sign of her? There. Oh, bugger.
It's a frontier community.
If something goes wrong, you're on your own.
I think the most dangerous thing is a helicopter.
Where man meets wild.
Too much current, they can get washed off.
And nature calls the shots. This is Kakadu. December in Kakadu. It's the build-up to the monsoon, also known as the Aboriginal season of Gunamaleng. Conditions are tough. Wildlife and people are becoming desperate for the rains to take the edge off the unbearable heat and humidity. All over the top end, clouds heave with energy, punching high into the sky. But so far, no real rain.
Can't wait for the rain. I'm looking forward to the wet season. Yeah, the build-up's pretty hot.
The rise in humidity has just sparked a transformation in the plant world. Naturalist Ian Morris is here to see the park come to life.
It's about 100% humidity, just the way we like it really. These Dronaria ferns are a good example of plants that respond to increase in the build-up. They've probably got little timers in them. They probably don't need to have any rain. But at this particular time of the year, Gunamaleng, rain or no rain, off they go. It's a whole sort of expectation, anticipation season.
Insects also love the humid air, and all over Kakadu they're coming out of hiding.
This is a termite mound, one of about 30-odd species that we get in this area. This time of year when the rain comes, the first showers soak into the ground, the moisture penetrates, the termites underground collect that damp soil and bring it up. They'll build an area that size on top of their mound. Maybe a week later they'll do another slab somewhere else and another slab, and slowly the mound grows to its full height. And that might take 50 years.
Deep in stone country, a very rare little creature also dons his brightest outfit for the build-up.
Well, when the explorer Ludwig Leichhardt came into Kakadu in 1845, He came in through the rough stone country to our southeast, and one of the special things that he saw was this particular grasshopper, and you can see why it attracted his attention. And it wasn't until over 100 years later that naturalists found these grasshoppers and realised that Leichhardt's enthusiasm for the insect and description were exactly right. It's now called Leichhardt's grasshopper, or the Australian spectacular grasshopper, and these little insects are only found in a few isolated spots here in North Australia.
The people of the Arnhem Land Plateau call the grasshopper Allur. They believe these creatures are the children of the powerful lightning man, Namargon. They come out every year to ask their powerful father to bring on the wet season storms. During the build-up, the air over Kakadu becomes superheated. It rises fast to create some of the tallest thunderstorms on Earth. Some of these storm cells reach 18 kilometers in height. But they only produce short, localized showers. Not enough to cool the place. It's a sauna. Only the monsoon will bring relief to the wildlife and people of Kakadu. At the Bureau of Meteorology in Darwin, Joel Lisenby is following the progression of this year's monsoon.
Probably the most defining aspect of the monsoon is it's a large-scale storm that changes the weather across the top end quite a bit when it sets in. The monsoon is big. The monsoon is what brings enough rain to fill the billabongs till the next wet season. We usually expect the monsoon around the last week of December. This year, for various reasons, the wet season has been delayed, and we expect later this week and into next week it'll be very dry. You'll get almost no rain. Right now we're sitting within the bottom 20% of the historical average. It's been almost like the build-up that never left.
A delayed monsoon is bad news for Kakadu. If there's one season you don't want prolonged, it's the build-up.
Build-up is hot and it's sticky and it's humid and very uncomfortable for a lot of people. There's so many things that depend on that heavy rainfall in December and January and February, and they're just waiting for the thick cloud to set in.
The unbearable heat can make people go tropo.
For a lot of people, it's hard to deal with. It can make a person go crazy.
Up here, they call it mango madness.
Hopeless, incurable. Yeah.
Night after night, the sky cracks with electricity. And by morning, the night's fury is gone without a trace. Well, almost. Last night's thunderstorm rocked Tom Finlay's stonemasonry business in Darwin. His loose interpretation of Venus de Milo has just been struck by a bolt from the blue.
So I did a statue on Venus de Milo, but I gave her more of a motherly territory look. I made her look like she was carrying some weight and had her breasts sort of hanging to one side. And obviously God wasn't happy with that. Like a bazooka or missile or something, it looked like suspended ammunition when the bolt actually hit the top of the thing. And the only thing that survived of the statue was breasts here, but as you can see, we only had one damaged nipple. Lucky girl.
Back in Kakadu, the first lightning storms have sent the crocodiles into a nesting frenzy. Protective crocs are now aggressively guarding their eggs all over the park. Gary Lidner and Andrew Wellings are also out to protect the croc nests. The abundance of crocodile eggs means poachers could be on the prowl. The eggs are valuable to the croc farming industry. The trade is perfectly legal, but only outside the national park.
There's got to be a nest, eh? There.
Looks like a bit of a cleared area.
Get up and have a look, bro. There it is.
Yeah. Good nest, eh?
Yeah, that's a ripper.
They need to get onto the nest in order to inspect it, but it's easier said than done.
Just keep an eye out. Mum might come running out shortly.
Salties are protective and territorial. A deadly combination for anyone wanting to approach their nests.
You're loaded, are you?
That's what Mum's up to.
Just whack the grass a bit, Andrew, see if you can flush her out. I'll just keep her in gear up against the bank.
Yeah, that's good because I might want to get back on board
All right.
quickly.
It's pretty dangerous. We're trying to work out where the female is. She might have already gone under a tree up there, but she might also charge.
There's a fresh track at the back down here.
Okay. Any sign of her?
Nah, looks all right, Gary. No wallow or nothing.
Yeah, I can smell her. I reckon she's in the water here.
Yeah.
There. That's Mum right there.
Yeah. Oh, bugger.
Even though she's a bit wary, she's also very interested in what we're doing with her nest. We've seen her now, so we know where she is.
Yeah.
But she's seen us.
She's had a good look at us, good size up of us.
Andrew's going to be on full alert because she could do a full charge up the bank and have a snap. We'll do a quick nest inspection and get out of here. We'll GPS it as well.
We do monitor our nests across the park. You know, there's lots of temptation by some people to raid nests. If each egg's worth, you know, 25 to 50 bucks each. Taking the eggs out of this nest could be pretty profitable.
You just land here with a helicopter, open the nest up, rip the eggs out, and then you're gone. But it's a high risk sort of activity.
There's significant penalties, fine, maybe even jail. It's nothing light. It's a big game.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You see here, she's laid a good clutch of eggs.
Beyond even poaching, the weather is the main factor that will influence the survival rate of croc eggs.
See a number of eggs here that have already died, probably from heat stress. See the brown ones here, like that's a dead egg, that one.
The late arrival of the monsoon is bad news for this nest. At the best of times, only around 1% of croc eggs hatch and grow to maturity in the wild.
If a croc survives out of this nest, it might grow into a 16-footer one day or a 3-metre female. But it's got to run the gauntlet of life to get to that stage. And once a croc gets pretty big, it's well and truly earned its right to be, you know, a boss croc.
But the weather is out of her hands, and unless the rain arrives soon, there's no telling how many more eggs she will lose.
She's looking now.
Yeah, we might as well get going.
All right, let's go.
Outside the park, crocodile farming is big business. Large numbers of crocs are raised in captivity. Their skins are sold for big bucks to European fashion houses. But in order to get the farming process started, the farmers need wild croc eggs. It's a lucrative market. but few are brave enough to come between the world's deadliest animal and her eggs.
Safety first.
Joe Wilson is one of them. There aren't too many people who know wild crocs as intimately as Joe does. He works with them every day and has had many close encounters.
The 2 times I got seriously bitten, they were foolish mistakes on my part. You know. The first time I heard a missile coming out of the water. It got me hold of the hand and pulled me between some pandanus trees, and I hung on for dear life. It wasn't until I poked him in the eye that he rotated on my hand. My hand came off. I had to carry my hand with my other hand up the bank. And it's a really different experience when something wants to eat you. Well, it makes me more careful. I won't get bitten again.
It's a good thing Joe's careful, because he probably has the most dangerous job in Australia, and crocs are only part of the problem. Today he's at a remote location near the Daly River, and he's here to collect wild croc eggs. Not too many people's lives hang in the balance, quite as literally as this, on their daily commute.
There is a bit of a bond that develops. Certainly Joe puts his life in my hands every day, and I'm very mindful of the fact that I'm carrying Joe around, and I know his wife and kids. Yeah, you certainly got to look out for each other.
As we're going in, I've got to be really careful that he doesn't put me over the water and the female comes up through and gets me on the leg, so I hold a stick.
Nesting crocs are extremely protective of their young and generally don't stray far from their nests.
Yeah, look out, Joe, there's a pretty big croc coming at you.
She'll be a big one. Well, that's good. I'm about to harvest the eggs out of this nest, and we're sinking, so we have to take as many eggs as we can in as short a time as possible.
Quotas are set each year, and licensed collectors like Joe pay the landowners a fee for every egg they harvest. This year's got a permit to collect 7,000 croc eggs.
We have to count every egg. I write a number on them to identify each nest. And it coincides with the landowner's area. Now these are freshly laid. It's probably only a day old. You can see that white mark, that means the egg's fertile and it's developing. They're only little eggs.
You right, Joe?
I'm ready, Nick.
Okay.
Joe created the cage to keep the crocs at bay, but the risks of hanging below a chopper are still sky high.
One day we'd left a cage out all dry season in the sun, and it was obviously not very good quality rope.
One day we were about 40 feet off the ground and the ropes snapped one at a time and I fell out. Nick couldn't see me in the grass, but thank goodness the grass was really soft, so it's just one of those things of being careless.
Joe reckons the open wetlands are easy, but many of his nests are hidden deep in paperbark forests.
As you're going down in the trees, sometimes the pilot will put you on a log and the cage will virtually tip upside down. Tipped out onto the nest. Don't jump.
Large male crocs are the ones he worries about the most. They can easily jump into the cage or simply bite it and roll him out.
The sheer mass of a 14 or 15 foot male, they wouldn't listen to a stick hitting them on the head, they'd just come through it, you know. They'd knock the cage over.
Can you read me, Nick? Can you read me there, Nick? You there, Nick?
And, sometimes he leaves me out here for hours because a big storm might come.
Joe, that croc came up there, bit the cage. Yeah, just hang on, Joe.
Okay, Roger.
His cage is attacked every day for weeks on end. You need a seriously cool head to do this job.
I don't do anything stupid, despite what some people might think. Courage is simply a logical calculation of risk as opposed to reward, and that's what it comes down to. If it was really dangerous, I wouldn't do it. I could be mad, but I don't think so. What do you reckon, Joe?
Yeah, well done. Thank you.
As the afternoon storms roll in, Nick and Joe call it a day. Back in Kakadu, the floodplains should be completely underwater by now. But instead, the place is still drying out. Some waterholes have completely evaporated, sending crocs into the forest in a desperate bid to survive.
It's amazing, isn't it? They're incredible.
Ian Morris is out on the South Alligator floodplains with the rangers. They're out here to see how well the wildlife is coping with the extended dry spell. What they find is an extraordinary scene. Predators and prey share the last remaining waterhole.
This is yet another place where the wildlife can come at the extreme end of the dry season. And so you get a lot of species crammed into one little spot, all sharing the same space. Quite often, traditional enemies will be in the same place as well. So you can have things like goannas and snakes and things side by side. So it is an unusual time of the year. You've got quite a few bird species here at the moment. We've got plenty of whistling ducks, a few magpie geese, plenty of cockies. All congregating on the last bit of water.
but some are coping better than others.
Shining in the light over there are the undersides of lots and lots of dead fish.
The water levels start dropping. It gets too hot, the oxygen becomes too thin.
The barramundi and the large mullet, they're the biggest fish and they require the most oxygen, so they're the first to die. And there's one species of fish out there gulping air at the moment, and that's the oxeye herring, or the bony brim they call it here. And they survive in this kind of condition because they gulp air direct.
There's a few raptors about as well, a few whistling kites. Easy pick up for a dead fish.
Further out on the floodplain, the cracked earth paints an alarming picture. This year is particularly harsh, but Khan and Dwayne spot evidence that the area isn't as barren as it first appears.
Yeah, this is where the last bit of water was. I see the mud tracks. When you see tracks like that, you know there's going to be crocodiles in here. You can see where they were. You can see the wallow still there. Okay, have a look.
Despite the lack of water, this floodplain is awash with croc activity.
The mud tracks were they belly sliding when the water was still a bit deep, but it was sloppy mud, but they could still move around.
Now they can't do that anymore, they're pretty well immobilised.
Most of the crocodiles would have escaped the floodplain before it dried up. But Ian spots signs that at least one croc didn't make it out.
Some creative crocodile has got to here and decided it's all too hard and chucked a U-turn and gone back way over here and then back off in that direction.
It's still here somewhere, but the real question is, could it still be alive?
Well, here you've got the cracking tail mark that shows us which way he went.
We'll just keep going up in here, we'll find him. Oh, there it is over there, Kay, can you see it?
There's not one, but 7 crocodiles buried in a tiny mud pool. An unusual tactic for a solitary animal like the salty.
They're not even savage, I don't think. They're defensive if they think they're going to be cornered, but they soon get to know you. This is something you don't see every day. Under normal circumstances, salties are loners. They keep a lot of personal space, except for now. We're seeing aquatic animals using little tricks that they've learnt for who knows how many thousands of generations to avoid desiccation at the worst part of the year. They've stopped being crocodiles for a while and they've become door stoppers, and their main objective is to survive this dry time.
Saltwater crocs can lower their heartbeat to 3 beats per minute. They only need to breathe once every 5 minutes. Now they're conserving every last bit of energy and moisture. They're doing the hard yards in this exceptionally dry year.
They're the most energy conservative vertebrate on the planet, but they've got to keep the heat off their bodies. Once the moisture evaporates out of here, which won't be very long, they'll be in a bit of strife. It is a risky time.
The rising heat and humidity doesn't stop the locals getting out to collect their favorite foods.
The back legs full of fat, like it's this part of its stomach. A young one, huh? We're gonna warm him up. Take his guts out. paperback leaves, but they're young ones. And like a bit of flavor. But I love the liver part. The juice of it is very just nice and rich. I like fishing for turtle and barramundi, and sometimes we do go shopping and get some fruit, but sometimes we don't. We just want to eat some bush tucker. Teach her how to fish, and now she wants to go turtle hunting with the crowbar. That's the Saratoga.
Over at the East Alligator Ranger Station, Sam Deegan has another casualty of the dry. This little patient is special. It's a critically endangered northern quoll.
We had 2 visitors that come in the park. They found this little guy here on his own with a bit of sand and dust in its mouth. So they brought it to the station here so we can look after it. They are a species in decline due to fire, cane toads, people. Jilly would be the one I'd be calling her.
Baby quolls like Jilly remain in their mother's pouch until they're 9 weeks old and don't leave their den until 5 months. Her chances of survival are slim, and she's now completely dependent on Sam.
I've got some supplies here, syringe, a special formula for it to feed. This is my little baby for the next few months. So I'm going to probably be its mum. Makes me happy.
These two will be joined at the hip for at least 8 months, until Jilly is ready for release.
Only time will tell. Just hope for the best, and I can say that I looked after one of the threatened species here in the park.
Jilly isn't the only northern quoll in trouble. Her kind are disappearing fast all over the top end. The arrival of cane toads a decade ago accelerated their decline. Quolls added the toxic toads to their diet. The consequences have been lethal. The northern quoll is now on the brink of extinction. Biologist Tegan Cremona is studying a very special population of northern quolls in Kakadu. This population has been trained to avoid toads at the Territory Wildlife Park and then released as part of a bold scientific project to try and save Australia's marsupial cat.
These juveniles that we've been tracking, their mums have been toad trained, but the offspring themselves have not been toad trained. So that's what we're really looking at, is if they've learnt without us intervening.
If the mothers can pass the toad training onto their young, then this species may come back from the brink of extinction to recolonize its former habitats.
So I'm getting signal from over in this direction, so I think that our quoll might be over there.
Tegan is tracking 7 juvenile quolls with radio collars in a bid to monitor this special population. To do this, she spends weeks alone in the bush following her little friends.
I try not to be a hermit all the time, but yeah, when you're out here, you end up a bit like that, all alone. The only living things I see are quolls, so yeah, I think they're part of my family now. I start to recognise them and look forward to seeing them every day.
She regularly sets traps to check up on their health and growth rates.
Oh, looks like we've got a quoll. cute little one. What I've got is a little girl. It's always nice to see them. Make sure they're growing well. She is, she's a fantastic size. It's touch and go for this species. It is a small population that we've been studying, so every single quoll out here makes a difference. If this program works with the toad training, that means it can be used elsewhere and really have a good chance of conservation.
The success of this project is critical. It's the species' best chance of survival.
So I'm picking up a double beak, and that means that the collar hasn't moved for at least 7 hours. Most of the time it just means that the collar's just dropped off. But the other alternative is that a quoll has died. The collar's probably just gotten too small for the quoll and just broken off, and we shouldn't have too much trouble finding it. Must be here somewhere. Oh no. We've got a little quoll here that's been killed by something. Like maybe a dingo or a wild dog. It's almost been torn in half. Looks like a female. We've been following this baby basically since it became independent, and this is a small population, so every single quoll that dies has a huge impact. So especially female quolls, there's just so few of them, and we really need the females to hang on that bit longer to reproduce in the next year. And this quoll hasn't died from a cane toad, so that's a positive thing. This quoll might have been avoiding cane toads, and it's just been unlucky to get snatched by a predator.
The future of the northern quoll still hangs precariously in the balance. Over the coming months, the next generation of young quolls will be leaving home. Tegan will soon know whether or not the toad training is working and whether they have a real shot at saving the species. February. The monsoonal rain should have come months ago, but instead, the temperature is in the 40s and humidity is close to 100%. Despite the unbearable conditions, rangers and traditional owners are heading deep into rock country on a very special expedition. Hidden all over the harsh sandstone maze of the Arnhem Land Plateau lies one of the greatest art collections on Earth. Countless generations of artists have recorded their lives on cave walls, documenting in beautiful detail the longest surviving culture on Earth. The artworks depict many aspects of their lives: dreaming spirits, hunting, animals, human stories. Even the arrival of the first Europeans has been recorded on rock. Traditional owner Jeff Lee is preparing to head out with Kathy Wilson and Gabriella Lachlan on a rock art expedition to search for art sites high on the Arnhem Land Plateau. The helicopter will ferry them to a remote staging point where the team will spend the next few days.
As you can see from the country, it's incredibly large with huge rock formations, and it's like looking for a needle in a haystack often. Here we are using a helicopter, but Aboriginal people were actually walking through this area, hunting and painting in the caves. The people that were living here must have been pretty tough. It's just incredible.
After setting up camp, they brave the extreme temperatures and head out in search of undiscovered paintings in a known art hotspot.
We've got a record of nearly 5,000 art sites in Kakadu, yet people say that there could be up to 15,000 sites. You need to spend a lot of time on the ground, walking, just searching. So we need to travel with traditional owners who know the country. Should we keep going through?
We're gonna go this way, straight up. Yeah.
You go first, Jeff.
The area they're searching is extremely remote, but Jeff walked through the country once as a young man and has a feel for the place.
For me, I'd have to go back to a map and record points on a map and lines on a map. But it's like it just sticks in your brain.
We don't need GPS, map. Me and I head all the time. You just gotta know. It's in your blood. You know the country. You can walk around with your eyes closed. I never get lost, right? There's something here, look. It's like a shelter, cave. Floating rocks like this.
Just found a cave. We'll go check it out.
What do you look like? You look underneath?
No, nothing here.
Look like thing, but nothing up here. I can't see anything.
No.
Nothing. When you're out here looking for rock art, you know, you can go on for days and days, you know. Sometimes it's not easy finding rock art. Pretty rough, rugged area. You'll be huffing and puffing for a while.
After several hours in rough terrain, the temperature over the rocks hits a crippling 50 degrees, and the team begins to struggle.
It is hard work. It's hot. I wish it would rain. It's so humid. There's not enough clouds in the sky for rain, though. It's the monsoon season without a monsoon. That's why we're all sweating.
Yeah, it feels like a mango madness, this heat, especially being on the rocks. Just like a big oven up here.
It's very humid, so we have to take it steady. We don't want anyone getting real sick. It's a long way back to medical help.
Every time I drink water or anything, just comes straight out.
Do you feel like going on, or do you want to go back?
Josh, I've got some stamina. Do you want to put some of that in your water, try and get your electrolytes back up? Once people go downhill, it can get really serious, could mean death. You've got to be monitoring yourselves and everyone else.
Exhausted and with night approaching, the team heads back to camp. Disappointed but not defeated. They still have a couple of days to go.
We didn't find anything this afternoon, but it's there somewhere. Hope you'll have more luck tomorrow.
Back on Joe Wilson's croc farm, things are getting interesting. The 7,000 croc eggs he collected have just started hatching, and Joe's wife Linda helps out as midwife.
See when they're coming into the world. From when the egg is laid, it's about 90 days of incubation. It's always pretty exciting watching them hatch.
No, this is just the beginning. The main thing is just to really care for them now, because this is when they'll die if they're going to die.
My mother hangs around the nest, and when she hears them peeping to get out, what she does with a great big teeth is just gently crushes the shell to release the baby. So that's what we have to do, because if we didn't, they'd stay in the egg half out and they would die of exhaustion. This is their little umbilical cord. We'll cut that piece off. This is the maternity ward. Not quite as sophisticated as Darwin Hospital, but it's good enough for these fellas. You still have to be very careful, because as soon as they come out of their shell, they're biting. They've got little sharp teeth. You know, they actually bite each other sometimes and get into the death roll. Sometimes you'll get 3 of them grabbing each other's tail, and yeah, it's really cute. That was your fault. I just got bitten. It always happens when you're held.
Ever since from a very young age, wandering around the bush, I had an absolute fascination for crocodiles, because they were a very rare thing. The bush definitely had something missing in those days. And I actually like crocodiles, and they're a good animal to farm, and I still get a thrill out of finding a new nest now, thousands of eggs later.
Back in Kakadu Stone Country, the rock art team are preparing for their last grueling day in the heat. Ranger Josh is starting the day in the coolest way possible.
Cool them down before it gets too hot. It's gonna be a long day. Wrong time of the year, but it's gotta be done.
Today is their last chance to find some new art sites. So Jeff's leading the team deeper into country. It's the final push. But the further they go, the tougher it gets.
Big deep one here.
It is. How deep is it? It's wet feet time, everyone. You've got to walk through some water.
Yeah, right, am I right?
Ben, that's a deep one. It's really hard to do this rock art work. It's incredibly rugged terrain, broken up sandstone quartzite. You've got pinnacles of rocks and gorges and creeks.
We sort of find a little boulder like this, and that's mainly where you find rock art. Any painting there?
Nothing. Can't see anything here. Sometimes it's quite deceptive. You think there's going to be rock art because there's nice overhangs, but then you get close and there's nothing there.
After a painful few days getting this far, it's a tough blow for the rangers.
Anything?
Nothing.
We're here. We haven't found anything yet. We are pretty broken.
There's something here, look. There. Right there.
Hey! Yo! Got him. I think he's just found some art.
Rock art, you know, it makes me cry. I just break down. It's in my blood for a very long time, and today I continue looking after a rock art with my neighboring clan. It's not just a painting on the rocks. It's a painting. It tells a story behind. I think back, culture always been with us.
One day you look at it properly and you realize what it is.
This is a barramundi.
It's interesting because it's not actually a fish we'd find in the creeks up the top here, is it?
Barramundi and Jim Falls down the bottom.
So you'd have to get down that escarpment country, wouldn't you? Sometimes the simple figures just depict a story straight away, so you can just capture what was happening at that time.
For Aboriginal people, it's more than just a valuable history lesson. The art also provides us with a deep spiritual connection to our ancestors.
Our people's spirit still lives. You can feel it. They're watching you. You're walking around the country, they're watching you and me, what we're doing. And I get that goosebump, and I know. And that makes me feel really proud and really happy that my ancestors are looking over our shoulder.
It's incredible, the art. What is that? It's got a gorgeous long neck, the beak, the hair, and the long legs. That's a lovely drawing.
Being Brolga.
Brolga.
Yeah, Brolga, yeah. Yeah, that's Brolga. Yeah, Argodo, Brolga.
Some of the rock art sites in Kakadu have been found to be over 20,000 years old. It's hard to test the paintings, but often it's what's been drawn that helps experts determine the age.
We have megafauna depicted in the art. There's a long-beaked echidna that no longer exists. And there's a very large kangaroo that used to roam the country, and there are paintings here. So you can go check records, fossil records, to say how old the art might be. It's so big. Yeah, kangaroos obviously. And another big one over there.
What's up there, Gabrielle?
Brolga, kangaroo, a couple of human figures.
After documenting the art and clearing the area of potential fire hazards, the team faces the long, hot journey home. But as they follow the ancient footsteps of people gone before them, not even mango madness can bring them down from their high. Down on the floodplains, the wind is picking up. And a dark cloud engulfs the sky.
Here it comes, magic time of year. Wet season will be here soon.
After months of mango madness, the monsoon is finally here. The rain quenches the thirst of the land. Within a few days, the water cascades off Stone Country. Jim Jim roars with the torrent that will fill the wetlands. Insatiable Territorians everywhere get a soaking. The wet has finally arrived, and it's better late than never.
Ah, beautiful day. That's what we've done for a while, eh? We got enough money to buy raincoats this year or what? Nah. Starting to pack the garbage bags. Garbage good bags. Old days. Oh, another day at work. It's a different time of year.
Next time, while the monsoon charges up the wetlands, the floodwaters make life difficult for the human inhabitants. It's chaos at Cales Crossing. Rangers deal with another deadly problem as tourists wander completely unaware.
We'll get a helicopter and shoot this animal from the air.
He's not going to get up. He's down.
And satellite croc Nigel No-Mates is off on an epic journey. Gary and Andrew are heading out to find him.
Now we're just looking for a 4-metre crocodile.
There's some movement down there.
Everyone loves the wet season in Kakadu.